It's the 28th of May and I'm Tom Glasson. Welcome to The Roast. Now, George Brandis has said he's open to everyone's input regarding amendments to the Racial Discrimination Act, and I'm not going to miss out. Dear George, I am a lawyer for a rich benefactor who needs to relocate millions of dollars in bonds. Can you help me? Please... Oh, sorry. Force of habit. Oh, crap, my cover's blowing. It's true, I am a Nigerian prince. Tonight, George Brandis under pressure to not change the Racial Discrimination Act, and we look at the Senate estimates. If you ask me, the Senate should just allocate more funding for precise measuring equipment so it doesn't have to estimate all the time. Idiots. First up, though, Mark Humphries with the headlines.
South Australian Liberal MP Martin Hamilton-Smith has defected to the Labor government. So if you voted for Martin at the last election, I'm guessing all you need to do is defect to another electorate. The Liberal Party should have seen this coming. He can't even decide if he's a Hamilton or a Smith. Martin spoke to 7:30's Sarah Ferguson last night, and I have a feeling she didn't ask him what 3 albums he'd take to a desert island.
You are a political traitor, aren't you?
And Hamilton-Smith had one response, which he repeated 3 times.
You either walk away, throw sticks and stones you, or you get in and you try to make a difference from within. Better results for the people of South Australia than standing back and throwing sticks and stones. You stand back and throw sticks and stones.
Say what you will about his principles, the man has a firm stance on sticks and stones. But that's not good enough for members of his former party.
His voters will see him as a rat.
A rat? I don't think names will hurt Martin. I'm pretty sure he's got some phrase about that involving sticks and stones. And besides, like a Spike Lee joint, Martin's just trying to do the right thing.
I know that I've disappointed a few people, but you have to do, in politics, in my opinion, what you know in your heart is the right thing to do.
See? Martin just wants to follow his heart and do good. Sure, he's a rat, but he's the rat from Ratatouille. In reaction to the move, Hamilton-Smith's electorate office was spray-painted overnight with the slogan, "Deserter, the community won't forget, your time will come." So I'm guessing he's going to be just fine. It remains to be seen how Hamilton-Smith will fit in with the Labor Party, but he is a former SAS commando, so he has experience in blending in. Though his skills at camouflage apparently aren't quite what they used to be. Speaker of the House Bronwyn Bishop, seen here moments before I lost all ability to feel aroused, has done something she's never done before. No, she's not rocking a perm. She ejected her first coalition MP from Parliament. And after ejecting 100 Labor MPs, she definitively put bias rumours to rest by balancing it up with one Liberal. Here's the moment that triggered it.
My questions to the Prime Minister.
The man asking Bill Shorten to speak louder was Ewan Jones, member for Herbert, and if this photo is to be believed, man with head twice the size of Joe Hockey's. Here's Ewan talking about what makes him a great MP.
I carry weight. It's not just the TV camera that makes me look fat. I am actually fat.
Sorry, wrong footage. I meant to show this campaign video.
You can count on me to be your strong local voice in a better government.
Maybe start using your strong inside voice. For The Roast, I'm Mark Humphries.
Thank you, Mark. Well, moving on, and George Brandis is being forced to water down his proposed changes to the Racial Discrimination Act in the face of overwhelming community opposition. And some people think Australians are racist. Well, I think this proves we're not. We're just watered-down racists. The government received 5,300 submissions on the proposals, and according to Brandis, there is a large variety of views from all points of the opinion spectrum. I actually think we have an image of that opinion spectrum here. Yeah, all right, that was a cheap shot. There is one other guy who has loudly and proudly thrown his full support behind George Brandis's proposed changes.
Holocaust denier Frederick Tobin backs George Brandis's plans for discrimination law.
Yeah, good old Holocaust-denying Frederick Tobin. The same Frederick Tobin who served prison time for refusing to stop publishing material that breached the Racial Discrimination Act. With friends like these, Brandis doesn't need enemies, but he has plenty of them anyway.
An overwhelming majority of ethnic and community groups oppose the Abbott government's proposed changes to the Racial Discrimination Act.
But Brandis has said he's going to go through it all in order to listen to the people.
All right, let's have a look at some of those submissions. Oh, and find him a positive one.
These changes are un-Australian. Nope. Oh, it makes me fear for my safety. Nope. These proposals are shameful. Oh, no. Oh, I commend you on this sensible decision. Yes! That one.
Oh, thank God. I commend you on this sensible decision. A welcome challenge to Jewish supremacism. There were no gas chambers in Auschwitz. And he's a Holocaust denier. Throw it back. And don't come back until you find Brandis a supporter who hasn't been to jail.
Well, they wouldn't have been to jail if racism was okay. So advantage Brandis. But according to Brandis, this issue isn't about racism. It's about freedom of speech. And he knows that when it comes to freedom of speech, you can't pick and choose when you're going to support it.
Your good faith is tested by whether or not you would defend the right to free speech of people with whom you profoundly disagree. That's the test.
And Brandis has been tested before, like back in 2006 when he discovered a school library book which paints his political hero and Australia's longest-serving Prime Minister as a tyrant. And so how did Brandis respond to this test of his resolve?
Brandis demanded the high school pull the book from its library shelf.
Banning books? Well, tests are hard. Though I suppose we should be thankful he's not burning books like in that imaginary Holocaust. But if Brandis is prepared to revise his proposal thanks to overwhelming, crushing, entirely predictable public backlash, will people be more willing to accept it? Jazz Twemlow.
No, watering down a terrible idea doesn't make it better, just makes it bad and wet. In the same way that no amount of ice cream you add to a shit in a cup will give you a drinkable smoothie. It'll still be a turd shake, Tom.
Yeah, that's pretty disgusting. So what should George Brandis do?
Make no changes to the Racial Discrimination Act at all. He should do nothing, which is literally the easiest thing possible. Let's try it. See, Brandis, doing nothing will get you more approval from the community than doing anything ever will.
All right, thank you, Jazz. But having to backtrack on your deepest held beliefs is an embarrassing retreat for Brandis, so you have to ask.
Brandis just wants a win, Tom, and I kind of want to give him one, because you have to admire his level of pig-headed obsession to make it easier to be a racist. I mean, can we get him a participation certificate? Maybe some sort of bullshit made-up award? Thanks, Diane. Attorney General George Brandis, it's my privilege to present you with the first annual award for desperately advocating for something that almost no one else wants.
And the award is a dick.
A giant dick, yes. But more importantly, Tom, it's a symbol. This dick represents all the people who support Brandis in his efforts to make Australia more horrible. The award is called a dickie.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he'll be really honoured.
Congratulations, Brandis. You're the proud holder of a dickie.
We'll be right back.
Have you ever won an award that highlights negative aspects of your personality? How did it make you feel? Did it make you want to change for the better? Or despite the overwhelming disapproval of the people, did you resolve to remain exactly who you are? We'd love to hear about it at The Roast TV or hashtag RoastTV.
Finally tonight, the latest round of Senate estimates kicked off on Monday. And if you're not familiar with those hearings, let me explain how they work. And before you change the channel, I promise I will make this as exciting as possible. Okay, it began 210 years ago.
Sean Rubenstein, Dunlop reporting. Controversy is swirling.
Meaning before the government can raise and spend public money, it has to be approved by Parliament. And Senate estimates is where Parliament gets to scrutinise those figures. It's a solemn place where elected representatives far more qualified than us go through the budget to make sure Australians are in good hands.
Full of shit. Thank you. Look, Senator Heffernan, if you keep making remarks like that, you should withdraw it. You should not be swearing at Senator Conroy.
Senator Heffernan, you clearly uttered a profanity. You clearly uttered a profanity. You've obviously been drinking. Go somewhere else and annoy somebody else. Go somewhere else.
You can withdraw that if you like. I haven't been bloody drinking.
Well, I just assumed that your bad language was due to that.
Just the bush, mate.
Go in the bush. There's no excuse. There's no excuse for your conduct.
The Environment and Communications hearing there, it's almost impossible to believe the NBN and the environment aren't where they should be. So, who got drunk and said something stupid this year?
It was revealed in a Senate Estimates hearing on Tuesday, Australian taxpayers are funding the Papua New Guinean government's legal battles against opponents of the controversial offshore detention centres.
Sure, this year's budget is cutting a huge amount of foreign aid, but we're keeping the money flowing overseas where it matters, to lawyers defending coalition policy. So in March, we stopped funding immigration advice to asylum seekers to keep them out of Australia, and now we've started funding the legal defence to keep them in detention centres in Papua New Guinea. It looks like the government has finally figured out it's a lot easier to get what you want when only one side of the argument has lawyers.
Don't worry, we will not stand idly by while vulnerable people are denied safety from persecution. What? What's happening?
The asylum seeker immigration advice funding has been cut.
What? Where am I?
Papua New Guinea.
What am I defending? The Australian government's right to keep detention centres open.
This government has the absolute right to deny vulnerable people's safety from persecution. Also, I left my coffee back at that last place. Can I go back real quick?
Fine.
You want one?
Ooh, bad news, dude. That coffee's going to be cold.
Well, Australian government, for taking away legal assistance for asylum seekers to pay for PNG to stifle human rights investigations, you just won yourself the... What's the opposite of coveted? Diane? Ah, never mind. Australian government, you just won yourselves a dickie. Thanks, Diane. Oh, and full disclosure, I stole this one from Brandis. I would like to live in a world where I only give out one dickie at a time, but you're all doing such a good job.
Good night.
Nick, the opposite of coveted is undesirable.
Too late, Diane. You just earned yourself a dickie.